You're listening to the Coffee Hour. I'm Andy Bates. It is an exciting day. It's not every day that we get to share a story about the Olympics, as those are headed to Tokyo in just a couple of weeks. And so it's kind of exciting when a student from a Lutheran school is an Olympian. And we get to share that story with you today. Thanks to Concordia University, Wisconsin for supporting the Coffee Hour. Find out more about Concordia University, Wisconsin at cuw.edu. Joining me today is Mr. Stephen Blank. He's a science teacher and swim coach for the varsity team at Faith Lutheran High School in Las Vegas, Nevada. Mr. Blank, thanks so much for being my guest on the Coffee Hour.
Thank you for having me, Andy.
So tell us about your role and your work at Faith Lutheran High School in Las Vegas, Nevada.
I teach 8th grade physical science, and it's a great school. I also we have a big, massive greenhouse there that I kind of help direct the function of, and that's also a big part of my life. And then in the spring, I sort of end up with a new family with the varsity swim team. Coach Greta Giesecke is the assistant coach, and I'm the head coach. And for that time, those kids are our family. So it's a really exciting dynamic that I get to live there and work there and just do the things that I love.
And tell us about Faith Lutheran High School in Las Vegas, Nevada. Some of our listeners may have heard of it before. We've had a chance to share the story from time to time. But tell us about this great school. It's not just a high school, but a really growing school in Las Vegas. Yeah,
it's a sixth grade to 12th grade school, and by those numbers, we end up with, I think we're the largest Lutheran school in the 50 states here. It's, as I said, 6 to 12. We have about 800 kids in the middle school and about 1,100 in the high school. We're really we're an island, we're a gem to people in this Sin City and all of that. But it's a community with great families that want what's best for their kids. The school district in Las Vegas, they do a great job, but they just don't rank well for whatever reason. When you rank all 50 states in education, and so parents are just really looking for a non-public option, and Faith Lutheran is just really the shining beacon there. And so we're a really valuable treasure to the community.
What role do athletics play in the lives of your students at Faith Lutheran High School? We've had students go to NFL and the different things. We even had a swimmer once, synchronized swimmer, and swam competitively for us. She was an alternate on the Olympic team about 5 years ago. She didn't actually compete. She was an alternate. But the athletics is just a really important part of every kid's life, for all the typical standard reasons. But Faith Lutheran, being a Lutheran school, we have our mission statement, which is always held before our eyes by Dr. Book, is everyone prepared, everyone saved. So our athletic director and our high school principal meet with the coaches at the beginning of every season and at the end of the season and remind us about that vision. And they really, want us to develop our programs and our athletes. And then the other thing they really want us to do is to keep Christ at the center for our athletes. We're this sort of point source for the gospel message to go through and to these kids. And, we just want to fill our kids' cup every day, see these kids as individuals and people who have their own struggles in life. And so we're just always trying to keep Christ at the center and then, just physically and mentally, spiritually be there for these kids. So as a teacher, as a coach, what's important to you in developing these student athletes?
The student part comes first, and student athlete, and then comes the athlete. The interesting thing about swim is it's a no-cut sport typically. I mean, we could do cuts. I don't prefer ever to do that. And so you end up with athletes like Bowe Becker, these elite athletes that are aspiring to be Olympians one day. And most of the time it doesn't happen, but here we have it happened. And then you have kids who have never swam competitively in their life. They can barely make it 25 yards without choking on water. And so you end up with this unique dynamic where you can look at it as the negative, where people are at these different points in their life, where it's a positive where they're learning from each other. The elite athletes can relive their early years through the eyes of these young athletes, and these young athletes can sit there and just marvel at this amazing ability. And so we have that interesting dynamic. They end up sharing the same lane in warm-ups before a meet when lane space is kind of cramped, and so it creates some interesting situations. And then, but also, this swim, as I mentioned earlier, is like a family, and from this year, it was just a challenging year for everybody, and this one swimmer, comes to Coach G and I, and just at the end of practice, as you know, we had practices in the morning this year, and swimmer said, she struggled with anxiety, and she said, I really was questioning whether I should come to practice today. She said, I'm so glad I did. And it's those things there that, when we're developing athletes is trying to see that individual, and each kid, high school, nobody wants to go back to high school. Nobody wants to go back to middle school either. So we teach the years that nobody ever wants to go back to. And when you look at your athletes in that light, that they're all going through different things, we can be there. We can be part of that journey for them. And whatever's going on in their family or their school or their social lives. So as we're developing those athletes, it's just being there for them in whatever they need. If it's swim related or academic or social related or spiritually related, we're their family.
And you mentioned one of your swimmers from a few years back, Bowe Becker, who recently competed in the trials, the Olympic trials, and was successful and made it on one of the relay teams for the USA team for the Olympics in Tokyo coming up in just a couple of weeks. And I had a chance to talk with him this weekend to have a conversation with him, and we'll share that in just a little bit here on the Coffee Hour. In my conversation with him, he mentioned that you provided him with helpful insights while he was at Faith Lutheran High School, even while he was spending most of his time competing on a nearby club team, even doing early dismissal in the afternoon so that he could go participate and train with the local club team. But he said that you gave him a lot of helpful insights during his time with you at Faith Lutheran High School. Tell us about your time with Bowe Becker.
Yeah, Bowe he's a great guy. And I'm not just saying that because, I have to. He is a great guy with a great family, supportive and everything. And so he's wonderful. I got to watch him. He was at one of our Lutheran feeder schools in the Valley at Faith Academy, and then he came to Faith Lutheran, middle school and then high school. And I get to watch these kids go from, ninth grade, which is just 1 year older than eighth grade. I mean, I think it puts it in perspective with, how young these kids are. They're immature when you meet them. That's what they're supposed to be. And then by the time they leave, they're young adults. And with Bowe and all of these, we get to be there and watch this transformation happen. With club swimmers, you're really merging multiple families together because they have this great relationship with their club team, and they've developed these athletes, and then all of a sudden they come to this high school swim team, the second family, and I have to earn their trust. Greta and I, we're earning their trust because they're not quite sure what to make of this high school team, and they're watching people struggle through the water, and here they are not struggling. So, but one of the things that I think that we bring and to the table is
is this sort of this balance when you have this extra. It's easy for an elite athlete, to be kind of myopic sometimes in reaching their goal, unless the parents are very intentional about making sure there's just different structures in place to help their child develop socially. And high school swimming is so great for that. They get to interact with kids from other club teams, kids with no ability, and they get to bleed maroon and gold for our school colors, the Faith Crusaders. And it just started keeping that balance for all of the swimmers as they move forward. You don't want them to become kind of one-dimensional and only be able to talk about just winning. That's a big part of it. But the thing in swimming is your best friend is the clock, and also your worst enemy is the clock. And you got to make sure that you have a friend and of a clock and a towel that never seems to dry out. And so we try to make sure that when something's going wrong in someone's life, whether it's something with their other coach or something at home or family, there's all these structures in place to buoy up our athletes. And so just trying to strike that balance. Otherwise, they're like a house of cards waiting to fall over. But Bowe always maintained that balance in a very mature way, and so he never really wavered from his goal. And so that was always just such a pleasure about Bowe, just to have those adult conversations and just mature, just like like we're having here. And then, and about Bowe, one of the things is with swimming, he likes to chase. He likes to come from behind. Some people panic about, coming from behind. He loves swimming last in the relay. And, we'd be behind in a high stakes event. Maybe state was on the line, and the other coaches from the other teams are screaming their heads off because their relay is going so well. And then our last leg dives in, Bowe, and he just makes up the ground, and then you hear the conversation to your left and right change, and then silence. And then our table is just erupting with joy. We're just sort of awestruck. I just don't know quite what to do, just to sit back and enjoy what we're watching in front of us with Bowe. And so it was just really being there for Bowe and celebrating with him. I mean, those were really the insights. It was just giving him the venue to showcase himself and cheer on his teammates as well.
What's it like, with just about a minute left, what's it like seeing one of your former students heading to the Olympics?
It is so exciting. I mean, we're all on Team Bowe right now. It sounds like the spectators won't get to be there at the Olympics, and so we're really sad about that. But I just, Bowe needs to know that, however much quieter the pool is and the rest of it. Our homes at home and around Faith Lutheran and around the nation, for goodness sake, are going to be erupting from our living rooms, just cheering for him. And we just want him to know that we are so proud of him. And, his parents, I'm sure they're just beaming with pride as well. I mean, this is just a really big deal for all of us.
My guest today, Stephen Blank, science teacher and head varsity coach for swimming at Faith Lutheran High School in Las Vegas, Nevada. Thanks so much for sharing your story about Bowe Becker. We're going to share the Bowe story here in just a little bit. Stephen, thanks so much for being my guest on the Coffee Hour.
Thank you.
Coming up in just a moment, the conversation I got to have with Bowe this weekend. You're listening to the Coffee Hour. I'm Andy Bates.
You're a miracle. You know that, right? A living, breathing, one-of-a-kind miracle. You were created to stand apart, to share your gifts in the service of others, to make an uncommon impact in a common world. And at Concordia University, it's our mission to help you do that, to live uncommon. To learn more about Concordia, go to cuw.edu.
Welcome back to the Coffee Hour. I'm Andy Bates, and it is a privilege today to get to share this wonderful story with you as we are preparing for the Olympics, the 2021 Olympics. And today we have with us Bowe Becker. He's a swimmer and preparing for, right now in training at the time of this recording, preparing for the 2021 Olympics. Bowe, thanks so much for being my guest on the Coffee Hour today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So, Bowe, tell us about the training, what training has looked like for you for the last year. I know you've been training for many years, but what has training looked like for you for the last year?
Honestly, the last year has been obviously like for everyone else. But when COVID really swung into full effect last March, I actually moved back home and kind of just stopped swimming. I was out of the water for about 6 months, and then got the chance to swim again. Got the proper funding, and so I decided to just go for it one last time. I moved back. I was back home in Reno, Nevada, with my family, because that's where they currently live now. And I moved back to Minnesota last September. So for about 9 or so months, I've just been training there, grinding. And it's kind of unheard of for someone to take 6 months off. I'll try to go 9 months and try to go for something like the Olympics. So it was definitely a challenge. But it was more just like staying in the right mental spot and just giving it 100% every single practice.
And so now, recently competed in the trials and had great success there. And so now headed to Tokyo. Tell us about the training that you're in right now. You're in Hawaii for preparations for Tokyo, correct?
Yeah. We've been lucky enough to have training camp in Hawaii this year. It's awesome, you know. Just being here with all these great athletes with Team USA is just a dream come true. The training environment is kind of undescribable. It's just a lot of great swimmers getting together. You get to pick each other's heads. You get to go against each other daily. Just kind of gets you in that right mindset for the Olympics. You get closer with your teammates. A lot of these guys I raced throughout college, so it's kind of cool to be teammates with them now instead of just being competitors. Very, very interesting way of thinking, but it's just awesome.
Tell us about your specific event. You're a freestyle sprint. You're in the freestyle sprint relay. Tell us a little bit more about this specific event and what's unique about this event.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm in the 100 freestyle relay, so it's a 4x100 freestyle relay. And what's awesome about this event is it's so exciting. To be in relays at the Olympics is a dream come true. Relays in general, in the past Olympics, have always just been really fun to watch. Everyone really just wants to win. There's just a different side of competitiveness with them. You're with all your teammates, trying to go for the best possible place you can get, and you're just up against really big dudes and really fast guys, and it's really fun, and it is challenging, but you know that's what's so fun about it. Just the competitive side of it. Yeah.
Take us back to the early days of when competitive swimming for Bowe Becker began. When did you start swimming competitively and training? When did that all begin for you?
So I think I was 11. I tore my meniscus in PE class. We were doing like suicide, and I hyperextended my knee. And I tore my meniscus, had to get surgery or whatever. But then I found out that I actually had a disease called rheumatoid arthritis from that injury. because my knee was super swollen. It wasn't going down. So I got tested for it. Sure enough, I had rheumatoid. And the doc at the time told me, you're really not going to be able to do any other sport that you want to do. Like, I was playing tennis, lacrosse, wanted to play a little bit of football. And she said, you can't do any of that. Your best bet's probably just going to be swimming. That's probably the only thing that you'll be able to do for the rest of your life. So obviously as an 11-year-old, that was pretty hard for me. So at first I just joined to start swimming just for health-wise. And a few years go by, and it turns out I was pretty good at it. Just had a natural feel for the water. And so I always had good coaches along the way, pushing me, trying to make me see the bigger picture, not just, someone better. It was a lot of tough years after that of just, swollen joints, getting my joints constantly drained. Stuff that normal kids, never would ever have to go through. It was very mentally challenging for me as a, teenager, seeing all these kids being able to go out and do stuff that I couldn't do. And there's a lot of trial and error of doing certain things that I learned were not good for my knees, and finding ways around it to be able to keep swimming and keep pushing myself in the right direction.
You mentioned you had a lot of coaches along the way. Tell us about your time as an athlete at Faith Lutheran High School in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Yeah. Faith was really good to me. The school day for me was 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. And to be in the national group that was training at the time, my club team, Sandpipers, our practice usually started at 2:15ish. So in order to do that, I needed to get out of school early every single day, pretty much. So they gave me early dismissal. They found a way through my scheduling to give me early dismissal every day. So I got out of school at 1 p.m. instead of 3. So they realized what I wanted to do, what my dreams were. And they worked with me with that. So I was really, really grateful to have a school like that working with me and being behind me. And without them, I wouldn't have been able to get this far. So it's just awesome to have that type of support, especially with Coach Blank. He didn't really coach me daily, but I got to pick his brain throughout the season, especially at meets and stuff, and just learn new things, because that's what you kind of do as an athlete. You get certain things out of certain people. And that's what I like to do. I like to pick and choose what I pulled from different coaches, because every coach has a different side to pull from the sport. So I got to really pick Mr. Blank's head. So it was awesome. Really grateful that I got to have that and have their support and help through that time.
And from high school, when did pursuing the Olympics become a goal for you?
Well, I honestly wasn't. I was good in high school, but not great. I was lucky enough to, by chance, get recruited by University of Minnesota. He was the head coach was there and watched someone else on my club team at one of our practices. And I wasn't recruited by any D1 school, really. Wasn't fast enough. But he saw me that practice and saw some potential. So he gave me a shot, started chatting with their sprint group coach, and from there on was history. But I didn't really realize my Olympic dream could probably become true until 2016 trials. I came into the meet like 80th in the 50 free and like 80th in the 100 free, and I went down. I think I placed like 30th something in the 100, but then the 50 I was in semis, and I think I placed like 14th. So as an 18-year-old who like had never gone to any big meets, barely gotten into a D1 program for college, was somehow able to do that at trials. And I was like, man, I think I have a shot. I think I have a shot at doing something like this. And so from that point on, it was kind of just like I wanted to try and make trials with the Olympic team through trials.
So what was that day like when you got the news, when you succeeded at the Olympic trials and found out that you were headed to Tokyo?
It was awesome. So how it kind of works is for the relays, if you place top 4, you automatically get selected to be on the team. But if you're 4th, 6th, you have to wait and see how many people make the team, and they kind of you're kind of relying on other people to kind of double up an event, make sure that because we can only select a certain amount of men and a certain amount of women. So you kind of have to see how the meet plays out. So I didn't really know right away because the 100 was earlier on, and then I had the last 2 days. So I just really had to focus on the 50 and not worry leading up to the last few days. But then by the last day, I knew that welcome to Lindsay, one of our people from USA Swimming, came up to me. She's like, the team, you're going to Tokyo. And it kind of just sunk in there. This was a surreal moment. A lot of pain, a lot of tears, and a lot of joy, all in one moment. Yeah, I think it hasn't fully sinked in yet. I think once we get to the village and like people are like looking at us, they're like, "Oh God, it's USA." I think that's when it will really set in. But right now, I'm just trying to enjoy the moment, enjoy every moment that I have with this team and trip, and yeah.
Well, congratulations. We'll be watching here for sure and cheering on Team USA. Words of encouragement or anything you'd like to share with our friends back at Faith Lutheran High School, or that young athlete who might be pursuing a sport such as swimming? Yeah,
I mean, I think I could speak broadly in athletics in general. It's always being more competitive every day, and every sport is. Everyone's getting better. Everyone's finding ways to get better. It really comes down to how hard do you want this? How hard are you going to work? I truly believe anyone can do anything when you set your mind to it. It's just you need a lot of great coaches along the way, a lot of great teammates. You got to appreciate the fact that you're training with some of these other athletes and try to create a culture, whichever team you're in or whichever club team you're in. Create a culture where, several of you want that. And I promise you guys will push each other more than you ever thought you could. Just utilizing the people around you. All in all, it comes down to you and how bad you want this. And if you want it, you can do it. It's just a matter of how much work you're willing to put in.
My guest today, Bowe Becker with USA Swimming, headed to the 2020 Olympics in Tokyo. Bowe, thanks so much for being my guest on the Coffee Hour today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
You're listening to the Coffee Hour. I'm Andy Bates.
The Coffee Hour with Andy and Sarah is a production of KFUO. To support the Coffee Hour and KFUO Radio, visit KFUO.org. You can also text KFUO to 41444 or send an email to gifts@KFUO.org. And you can call us at 800-844-0524. KFUO. Christ for you, anytime, anywhere.